So during my PhD, so before my PhD and at the end of my PhD, I had some health issues, and the doctors had given up on me. And when the doctors had given up on me, I went into the alternative health sector, so Unani Tibb medicine, acupuncture, and this is where I met Hakim Shahid. Now there's an amazing trend that's taking place around the globe. We have this thing where people are not relying on allopathy anymore, or their faith is slowly deteriorating. So what people are finding is people that have been diagnosed with diabetes, blood pressure. मैं आपसे सवाल करता हूँ कि कितने लोग आप जानते हैं जिनको डायबिटीज़ है, ब्लड प्रेशर है, और डॉक्टर के पास जाते हैं और डॉक्टर उनको दवाई देता है और दवाई से वो ठीक हो जाते हैं? The answer is almost no one. And then the second question, which I've written in my book, is how many people do you know जो दवाई ले लेते हैं फिर 5-10 साल के बाद उनको साइड इफ़ेक्ट्स हो जाते हैं और दवाइयों पे लग जाते हैं? The answer is pretty much everyone.
I'm a naturopath. I specialize in a number of different treatments. I've done Unani Tibb, I've done acupuncture, I've done a number of different treatments. I have a clinic in UK. I teach a number of different forms of natural medicine in the UK, Europe, US, and I run classes, workshops, and diploma courses. So today I wanted to tell you a little bit about traditional medicine. I know in Pakistan there is there's a bad rep in terms of traditional medicine, and there's a history behind this. There are 3 traditional forms of medicine, which is the Chinese system of medicine, which they call the TCM. And then there is the Indian system, which is called the Ayurveda system, and then there is this system of medicine called the Unani Tibb. Tibb means medicine. The unique aspect of this medicine is a little bit different from the Chinese and the Indian system. Is that we were talking earlier, is that the Indian system was developed in India and was applied only in India, and similarly the Chinese system of medicine was developed in China and only applied in China up until relatively recently. This form of medicine was slightly different because it was used all over the world, in India, in the Middle East, Central Asia, in Europe, and even so it was part of the vocabulary of English language. So those of you who read Shakespeare, you'll find words that we use in this medicine. Terms like choleric. Somebody has a very choleric temperament. That's Shakespeare uses that in some of his works, and that means somebody who's hot and dry. So we'll talk about that shortly. So ultimately, we believe that the healer is the creator. He's he who is the one that heals. We have no healing abilities. No human being has any healing abilities. The healing comes from the creator. So I remember I do this talk all over the world. So majority of my people in the audience are agnostic or atheist, etc. So there are Hindus and Christians and Jews, etc. So I always talk about, so I have to redress the balance a little bit to let people know that ultimately I am not the healer. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or the creator, whichever religion that you believe in, he's the one, there's a creator that heals you. Okay? So I'm going to cover a little bit about one of the main things that I practice, which is Unani medicine, and how it's different to modern medicine. I'm going to cover the concept of some things called hot, cold, wet, and dry. It's part of your vocabulary, it's part of your tradition, but it's alien to Western tradition, this part of it, the hot, cold, wet, and dry concepts. How we assess somebody, we use pulse, we ask certain questions, we look at people and observe, and nowadays we use a new technology, modern technology, which I'll discuss later on. The forms of treatment that we use, which are herbs, We use cupping techniques, bloodletting, massage techniques. There are a number of different techniques that we can use. In my clinic, I use additional forms of treatment like acupuncture. There are different types of acupuncture. Acupuncture that I practice called dung acupuncture, TUNG. It's very good for pain management, extremely effective for pain management. Because pain is usually stagnation. Whenever somebody has pain, it's always stagnation. It could be emotional stagnation, it could be physical stagnation. Usually emotional. Most people have health conditions based on emotions. Yeah. So a little bit of a very brief history of this form of medicine. It's known as Tibb. Tibb, as I said to you, means, those of you know Arabic, I think it's in Urdu as well, Tibb. It means medicine. And then it's the word Unani is they translate as Greek. It's actually an island in the Mediterranean called Ion. And when the Arabs heard it, they couldn't pronounce it. They pronounced it as Yunan. Ion became Yunan. Okay, so it's Greek. They call it Greek medicine. Strictly speaking, it's not Greek. It's far more ancient than that. Far more ancient. Okay. So sometimes it's translated as Islamic medicine. It's not Islamic medicine. It's not, strictly speaking, what you understand as Islamic medicine. That's Tibb Nabi, the prophetic medicine. It's Islamic in the sense that it was under the Islamic Empire. A lot of the physicians weren't necessarily Muslim. They were, a lot of, Maimonides, the very famous physician, he was Jewish. Yeah. So it was developed by a number of people, obviously primarily by Muslims, but it's under the Muslim Empire. Yeah. So as I said, it's got roots which are far ancient, into Babylonian, Egyptian, and then later Greeks. Okay. So imagine you didn't, back in the day, like thousands of years ago, you're in Babylon or you're in ancient Egypt, then you're looking out in the environment and you're trying to understand. So you see seasons change, people start, there's a young person, then it becomes a youth, then it becomes old, and then it decays and dies. And you see the four seasons, the weather's changes. And you're trying to make sense of the world. So you're trying to explain things to people. So you need metaphors. You know, storyteller, I think, I forgot your name. Hast is a storyteller, I believe. So he will use metaphors to explain things. So we're trying to use, these are not elements in the periodic table. Who's done chemistry?
Most of us.
Most of so the periodic table was developed by the Russian. The Russian guy, he came up with the periodic table, yeah? Dmitri something, I can't remember his name. So I'm not talking about those elements. I'm talking about these core concepts of explanation. So what is the property of air? What is the property of earth? What is the property of fire? What is the property of water? So water, for example, fire, for example, is heat. Water is wet. Yeah. Earth is dry. So those type of properties. So they use those properties, and then from there they try to describe things. At the beginning, it sounds very obtuse, and it's very difficult to understand. But as you develop, you will try to understand. You'll get to understand what I'm talking about. Okay. Remember, it's only an hour's lecture, so it's difficult to. Okay. So then there's a concept. I'm trying to explain the basic concept. The concept of humus. Humus is what they believe, the ancients believed, that what you got from food. When you consumed food, when you ate something, there was some things that from food you made blood, which they call in Arabic is dam. It means blood. Yeah. So these are Arabic words. Yeah. So phlegm is balgam, we use in Urdu as well. and yellow bile, which goes sufra, which yellow means sufra means yellow in Arabic, and black bile is soda, means black. So that means is if you we believe that when they looked at blood, so if you took somebody's blood and you looked at it in light, you could say, oh, there's a red part, there's a yellow part, there's a foam at the top, and there's some residue at the bottom. That's how we understand. That's how they didn't have lab tests, so they're trying to make sense. So when somebody eats something, this is what happens, yeah. And they were saying, why does that happen? Why is that happening? So they're thinking, okay, when somebody eats food and the stomach properly digests the food, he makes blood. When he undercooks it, cooking concept, then it becomes phlegm. When he overcooks it, it burns, so it becomes sufra, yeah. And residues are the bits at the bottom, overcooked, burnt stuff. So that's how they understood it. And these things mean something, yeah. They're kind of very, very important, and they're still applicable today. This is all I use, really. And then there's a concept of mizaj, temperament. Somebody is in the Urdu language, from the Arabic. Azmaj, plural, Ismaj, singular. Okay, so this is trying to understand somebody's nature, whether they're hot or dry, cold, etc. Okay, I know I'm skimming through more of this stuff, but I'm trying to give you the basic concepts. Okay, so what we have also have four. We had 4 humors, 4 elements, 4 temperaments. Okay, so so this idea of temperament, every single one of you in this room has a certain temperament. Okay, and I based once I work out your temperament, I can apply the treatment. Yeah. So first of all, I recognize your temperament. I will recognize it by looking at you, the way some of you are sitting, the way some of you talk, the type of foods you eat. From there, I will work out what your mizaj is, or your temperament is. Okay. So, and then the treatment will be the same. So for example, if somebody is very hot and dry, which a lot of you are, if you're very hot and dry, you will eat the opposites. Yeah? So when your grandma said to you, don't eat this food, it's not good for you, especially certain times of the month, and you want to eat ice cream, and then you get cramps, and you say, why am I getting cramps? That's why you're getting cramps, because you shouldn't eat cold things under certain times of the month, especially women, because it becomes stagnant. Remember I said to you right at the beginning, stagnation causes pain. Yeah? So when you have cold, like ice cream and that type of thing, when certain times for females in particular, then what happens is you get pain. And grandma said to you, don't eat those type of foods. Then she was right. Okay, that's the basic idea. Okay, similar types of food. So I work out your mizaj, and also I try to work out how you got off that mizaj. So you have, for example, been on your phone all night, texting your friends, don't sleep at night, for example, you stress financially, whatever the reason is, then you have stress, you burn your blood, you get your temperament changes, and you become ill. And the idea is to basically understand that. More importantly is for you to understand yourself. Once you understand yourself, then you can start fixing yourself, avoiding seeing people like me or doctors, generally speaking. And don't give me money, or don't give the doctors money. Don't empower yourself. Yeah, I understand that's your ethos, to empower yourself. So you must empower yourself. Yeah? Everybody with me so far? Or, any questions? No? Okay. So, just a little bit, I'm going to delve a little bit more into this. Okay. So to make things just for you to understand it a little bit more, everything can be boiled down to 4 things. The whole of the universe, everything around you can be divided into 4 things. Yeah? So something can be hot. The opposite of hot is? Cool. Yeah. Something can be wet or moist. The opposite of wet is? Dry. So from those 4 things, you can explain everything in the universe. Yourself, your food, the seasons, age, death, all those things can be explained. So the ancients worked that out. And I'll explain in a minute. So you can combine those things. So first of all, singly, I said to you everything is 4. But you can have, those of you who do geometry, permutations to the power of whatever. So you can combine those and make, so something can be hot and dry, something can be cold and dry, some can be moist, hot and moist, and something can be cold and moist. From those 4 things, you can make those 4 temperaments, singular and plural. And then you can see that in the seasons. Make it easy for you. Let's look at the seasons. What would you say summer is? Just hot? Hot and dry. And spring? You did this before. What's spring? Spring is hot and moist. Hot and moist. Technically, hot and moist. And winter is cold and dry. Yeah, cold and moist, because there's wetness in there. And autumn, if there's an autumn, is cold and yeah. So you can see that. Okay, so these are things. Summer is hot and dry, winter is cold and moist, and autumn is cold and dry. Okay, and spring is hot and moist. Now, that bit, you understand? Everybody get that? Okay. I think Pakistan is usually hot and dry pretty much 9 months of the year. I think so. It's pretty much hotter, and England is cold 9 months of the year. But this is what it's supposed to be. So, if I was to ask the clever ones amongst you, how would you translate that into people in the ages? So, somebody who is a child, what would a child be? So hot and moist is right. A child would be, if you held a baby is moist. Who's held a baby recently? Okay, good. Which is moist. Yeah, hot and moist. Okay, and if you grab somebody like me, if you looked at me, what would I be? Sorry?
Winter, cold and moist. Autumn.
No. I'm in the autumn of my life.
Spring.
No, not the spring. There's babies. दोबारा पे baby बन गया ना. No, I wish I was, but unfortunately not. I'm heading towards death eventually. So I'm getting old. Yeah, no, I'm old. I'm getting older.
Cold and dry.
So I am losing my heat. I'm getting old. I'm losing my moisture. So I'm becoming cold and dry. Getting ready for death. That's the next stage. So next stage I will start getting more, I will losing more and more of my heat. Yeah. So my father, who's older than me, he's in the winter of his life. Yeah. You know who's read King Lear? King Lear. He talks about that, doesn't he? Yeah. So so this is another way of seeing it in terms of your people change in terms of as they age. You see that in the seasons, and you see that in food. So basically, you first of all work out a general temperament of a person. Then you work out what age they are. You adjust it for the age, and then you advise them. So if I said to you, if somebody was hot and dry, then you have to find out which foods are the opposite. Opposite, yeah. So you have to try to understand your temperament, and you can also understand by looking at somebody, by also their behavior, how they talk or how they sit. Yeah. So for example, if you see how Brother Tamur sits, it's very different from all of you guys. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. He's very static. Look at him. He's always moving. He's always doing this. He's always talking. He's always interjecting. He's always doing something.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
I do it.
Yeah. He's looking at him now even. Yeah. So that's his nature. He's got heat in his. Look, even he's aging. Yeah, he's aging. No offense, but I said first I'm older, so don't worry. So he's aging, but look how much energy he has. Yeah. So he's definitely hot and dry. Okay. I'm hot and dry, but I'm aging. So my heat is diminishing with time. Okay. So because I don't want to make this to be passive, I'm choleric, I'm hot and dry person. I don't like, I just like to take control. So that means also I don't like to do all the work. I like you guys to do some work. Otherwise it's cheating, it's not fair. Okay? So I'm going to ask you questions now. There you got some questions. So what do you think somebody's personality is who is hot and dry? Think over it, take a couple of minutes, there's no rush. What would they look like? And I'll give you the answers, don't worry, don't panic. What would they look like? What type of foods would they like to eat and drink? And which illnesses do you think they're prone to? I will just do one. We won't do a 4 temperaments, we haven't got time. Otherwise it'll be all day's lecture. But we'll do one.
They would do muscle, they would have muscles.
Okay, well, take your time. I'm going to give you 5 minutes to think over it. You can confer if you like. You know, I'm going to give you 5 minutes and then I'll give you the answers. So just think.
Thin features.
Yes. That's correct. So they will be thin, correct. Okay, so they will be thin. What kind of personality would they have? Irritable. Bitter. Bitter, irritable, correct. Correct. What kind of foods do you think they would like? No.
Watermelon.
No. No. What do they like? I didn't say what they should be having. I didn't say that's what they should be having.
Chicken, meat.
More spicy food. Yeah. They will like spicy food. Probably all of Pakistan like spicy food. Yeah. Yeah, because predominantly they're hot and dry people. They're predominantly hot and dry people. Yeah, so yeah. What kind of illnesses do you think they'll be prone to?
Blood pressure.
Yeah, good. Anything else?
Headaches.
Heart, possibly, yeah.
Headaches.
Sorry?
Headaches.
Addicts? No, not necessarily. Sorry?
Fatigue.
Fatigue, yeah, yeah. Fatigue, yes. They'll have a lot of energy, but they'll burn out very quickly. Okay. But, skin conditions. A lot of skin conditions. Dry skin, heat, pimples, boils, those type of conditions. Okay? Everybody with me so far? Yeah. Okay. So this is what they would look like. This is like a pure choleric. Nobody's pure. Like for example, when I was younger, in my younger days, I was very, very thin. I know it's surprising now, but I was extremely thin. I used to be at school. I used to be embarrassed. I used to wear 2 trousers and a shirt underneath this top because I was embarrassed because I was so thin. I know it doesn't feel like it now, but I promise you. So, choleric people tend to be thin, lean. Yeah, they tend to have like penetrating eyes. Their veins are prominent. Their hair tends to be curly or wavy. Yeah, they have a good appetite. If you're not exactly like this, that means there's something gone wrong. You're either ill, or you're aging, or something has changed. But generally speaking, this is a pure choleric. Nobody's pure. They usually a mix. But in this lesson, in this talk, it's just going to be the very basics. But in a more complicated course, on my 2-year diploma course, then you'll get to do much more in the details. Yeah. They're short-tempered. They get irritated, anger quickly. You were right there early. So in terms of what they should basically avoid too much sun. Yeah, because heat's going to agitate them. Yeah, they should have more cool and fresh good ventilation. Exercise. Do you think they should be pumping iron? They can't. They pump iron. They're not going to build muscle. They won't become. You know that actor Arnold Schwarzenegger? They're never going to become that ever. Doesn't matter what they do, unless they take steroids. They are not going to have that muscle because their body is not designed for that. Yeah. They should do light exercise. So foods they should avoid, even though they like spicy food, it's not necessarily good for them. Maybe in this country, not so bad because you sweat and then you release the pores. But if you went into a damp environment, you start getting eczema and psoriasis. I got so many people with eczema, psoriasis. They have the same diet as they have in Pakistan or India, and they come over there and it's a damp environment, the pores are closed. So they started getting eczema and psoriasis, those type of conditions. Yeah? So they should really have something opposite, which is cold and moist foods. Like you mentioned earlier, watermelon. You mentioned earlier, milk is good for them. Maybe milk in Pakistan is just really bad at the moment. It's just awful. It's not even real milk anymore. And then it's same. That's another lesson. But the point is that the milk is the animals are polluted. Even in Europe, they inject them with so many things. Then they put the feed is bad, the animals bad, and then people come to me, they feel sick because it's not they say milk is bad. The milk isn't bad, it's the way it's produced, the way the meat is produced, the way the crops are produced. Most of the stuff is very, very bad for you. Yeah. Plenty of water, they need plenty of fluids because they're hot, so they need to cool down. Yep. They should really have at least 6 hours sleep minimum. Although they want to get up and do things, they're like energetic. They're going to burn out quickly because heat burns out very quickly. So they need more a good sleep, and then maybe have a nap in between the lunchtime. It's kind of necessary. They'll find themselves energized. They tend to be very angry people. Excessively get irritated quickly. They tend to talk a lot. Yeah. So it's probably not a good idea. So the interesting thing about this temperament, there's 4 temperaments, as I mentioned earlier. This temperament is very funny in the sense that it's an aggressive person. This temperament is tend to be aggressive and dominating. Yeah. But then if you find another person who's also the same, then it becomes meek because the other one takes over. So you find that in marriages, because the two men, the husband is choleric and the wife's choleric, the wife tends to get suppressed. So then she has severe anger issues. She's holding them in. For years later, it comes out in a bad form. So you should let out a bit of steam sometimes. Yeah, break a few bottles or break a few plates, and then you can say I suggested it. Okay. So they tend to, they're predisposed. That means that there is a possibility. That means they won't necessarily get that, but there's a possibility that under the right circumstances they will get these conditions: fevers, infections. Some of you got that right. Acidity, headaches, migraines, hypertension. You mentioned earlier blood pressure. That's cardiovascular type of conditions. Yeah. So how do we know these things? How would you work them out? How would you work them out? So the whole point of this talk was for you to work out, so that you can take control of your own life and your friends and your loved ones. So we do that by the feel and the skin of the skin, for example. So somebody, is it hot? Is it dry? The skin, is it hot or dry? Is it moist? You can work from there. So when I take the pulse, so say for example I'm taking this individual's pulse. So I'm putting my fingers here, reading the pulse. So but I do it very quickly. I already worked out his temperament. Like this, yes. But if I was doing a slow motion, you get a camera, slow it down. Yeah. I'm just checking I do the skin, check his skin. I worked out his temperament like that. But remember, I have to do women as well. So I have to do it very quickly. Otherwise I got slapped on the face or something. Yeah. So I have to do it like this, quickly. But if I was doing, when I was learning very, very slowly, I'm just doing this, checking what it is. But because now after doing so many, just do that. And I worked it out. Yeah. Yeah. So in this guy, he's got moisture. Yeah, he's got moisture.
Even in Pakistan?
even in Pakistan. Even in Pakistan, this guy's got moisture.
That's achievement.
Yeah. He's got moisture. Yeah, and he's cold. Yeah, he's the opposite of that guy over there. Yeah, I'm using an example if you don't mind. But but you're changing. You're changing. So you're becoming something else now. People change because of circumstances. So you're becoming another temperament. With age. So am I. Both of us are. So you look at the color of the skin. Color doesn't mean race. Color means the tone between that particular race. Yeah. So you look at things like veins. Are they prominent? Are they thin, etc.
What would you say is Adeel's temperament?
He's cold. He's cold and moist.
Cold and moist.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but he's losing a bit of his. So he didn't always become. It was not always cold and moist. He's also changing, and you are hot and dry, but you're becoming cold and dry, like I am. I'm becoming cold and dry. So we're losing the heat. Yeah. So we ask him what questions about sleep. So for example, I asked them, what kind of dreams do you get? Yeah, I'm not interested in the, dreams of teenagers. I'm talking about dreams in the sense like the category of dreams, the category. So in other words, for example, if they come to me and say, "Oh, I'm fighting in my dreams. I have action in my dreams." Who has action in their dream? Anybody got action? Fighting? No? You? Nobody? Okay. Most of them are. Okay, so basically, they will come with like activity. They'll be doing something, like winning the cricket match or something. They'll beat India on their own or something like that, cricket match. That type of action. Yeah? So it could be Pakistan as well, India beating Pakistan, because I have to have an audience that I have people from both nations, so so we have to be careful. So the thing is that so if they have dreams where they're seeing white, water, moisture, and it's a different temperament, then that means they are moist people. That type of thing. If they have nightmares, for example, someone will have nightmares. I see snakes, are these things. I'm not talking about dream interpretation. I'm talking about the category of dreams. Yeah, so they see nightmares, phobias, so they're becoming melancholic. They're becoming suspicious. Oh, that man's out there to get me. Like you see really old people, they get suspicious. That's what happens. Yeah. So you have a born temperament, but it changes with age, and it changes with your diet and environment. There are 6 things that change it. This, how much sleep or rest you get. Like for example, most of you don't get much sleep because you're always on your phone or the internet, WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter. At night, at 2 in the morning, you're messaging. When I was a young person, came to Lahore, all the shops used to close at a certain time. Now the shops open at 12 o'clock or 11 o'clock. That wasn't a concept which I grew up in. It was different. It's only happened in the last 30 years, 20 years, whatever. So things have changed. And then the diet will affect you. So sleep, rest, and also people don't go to the bathroom every day. There are people that go to the bathroom twice a week. For defecation. Don't defecate twice a week. So there's a serious problem. So that affects your temperament.
So this temperament is the best to be in?
No, your temperament what you're born in. The one you're born with is the one Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created as perfection for you. It's your born temperament. Yeah? And that's depending on how Allah has decided, and your race and your color, all that stuff based on that. And then it can change if you misuse it. But it also changes anyway with age.
Can you see my temperament?
I can, but I don't want to share it with everybody. Okay?
So when you meet somebody and they've already been changed because of the other factors,
Yes.
can you tell what their born
Yes.
temperament
So I have to first work out what their born temperament is. Then adjust it to their age. If they're changed, that means they become ill. So in other words, according to our medicine, they're only ill if their temperament has changed.
And you can tell that by
Yeah.
observation.
Yeah, like all of you, pretty much I've got an idea. I'm like 56% certain what your illnesses are by looking at you, okay, and how you deviated. But I'm not 100% sure. But some people I'm 100% sure, some people I'm like 30% sure. It's like a variation. But then I check with the pulse, and then I look at the tongue and ask certain questions. Usually I ask questions and I'm 90% sure. Sorry?
So the ideal location, change your life and your lifestyle so that you tackle the temperament that you were born with?
Yeah. No. So you are born with a certain temperament. I'm simplifying it. I'm making it very simple because it's a very short thing. But nobody is just one temperament. There's a dominant temperament. So all of you have more than one temperament. But just for the purpose of teaching, assuming you have one temperament. Okay. So we work out. Well, you can work out your temperament. For example, at this moment, okay, what your temperament is by following this, or going onto my website for free and ask certain questions. I will tell you your temperament. Okay, so that means that you may, so you have the 6 factors that can change your temperament and make you ill. So for example, everybody should go to the bathroom twice a day. Who does? So that means in terms of her bowel movements, at transit time, it's for the bowel, everybody, the food you eat, so her bowel movements are good. That means certain conditions she won't suffer from. Okay, but there are people who go to the bathroom twice a week. She goes twice a day. There's a difference. So imagine if you go every other day, you have 9 meals that's being backed up. So imagine what's that doing to you. Okay, so that's the first thing. Then there's the sleep. Are you getting adequate sleep? So you should be sleeping at certain times. Yeah. And then there's things like sleep, food, diet is another factor. So if you have abused yourself by eating the wrong foods and not getting adequate sleep based on your temperament. So for example, this person who is hot and dry, they only need 6 hours sleep. But somebody who is cold and moist, he needs more sleep. That type of thing. Does that answer your question? Yeah, okay. So movement. So for example, a choleric person will walk a certain way. He will look almost like a soldier, the way he walks. So if he's choleric and he walks in slumped, then that means I know he's ill. Something wrong with him. Yeah. So your posture tells you a lot about yourself. Posture tells me about if they've been abused. They could be physically abused, they could be mentally abused. Yeah. So I will know that there is something wrong with their bladder, for example. So females are quite susceptible to abuse. Yeah. But some children are susceptible to abuse as well. So you have to be observant and you have to be very careful what you say. As a physician, you have to be very careful because you're treading a very dangerous ground. So I would say 80% probably more than 80% of the conditions are not physical, are mentally emotional. Yeah? And so there are 4 layers. There's a physical layer, there's a mental emotional layer, and the spiritual layer. If you're physically ill, I can help you, inshallah. If you are mentally emotionally ill, I could help most of the things, but you might need to see a psychotherapist. But hopefully I could help you. If you're spiritually ill, then I can help you. You have to see a spiritual guide. That's why we always need a spiritual guide, somebody to guide you spiritually. Otherwise, you're sick. Yeah? And then that person has to know what they're talking about. Because I was saying to you that the other day, that certain words, it's all words, isn't it? It's just words. What I'm giving is words, aren't I? That's what I'm doing. The Prophet ﷺ gave you words. The Quran is just words. You know what they say? Have you heard the expression, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words don't harm me. The words do harm you. It's a lie. Words do harm you. For 7 years, if somebody abuses you in the street, says something really bad to you, for 7 years they proved it, it will stay in your system. So a good word can help you just as much as a bad word can harm you. So mental, emotional things help you. So you also need to seek a spiritual guide to help you. And you can't do it on your own. You can't. You cannot guide yourself. You cannot. So there are some people who think that they don't need anybody, they can do it themselves. There's sickness is developed, especially in certain countries and where they believe they don't need, they can open the book and they can do it themselves. No, you will be ill. You'll have problems. So, so your food is based. So, like, if you went on the internet, you say, "Oh, okay, I feel tired. What's good? Bananas are really good for you." Yes, but what are they good for? For whom? Remember, I told you the mizaj. Bananas are bad for this guy. Really, really bad for him. Yeah, and everyone say, but bananas are good. They got, yes, potassium, but then there's bananas have no value, absolutely no value, no nutritional value. Yeah, at all. Bananas got no value. Okay, so okay, but the body has an ability to heal itself. Yeah, body actually has an ability. It's an illusion that when you go to a doctor or a Hakim, that he cures you. So if you cut your finger, accident or something, shaving or whatever, you cut your finger. So when you put something on it, don't you? You put like a band or something, tape or something on it. Is it the tape that heals, or is it the body that heals? It's the body. So body is ultimately, the body is the one that heals. All you do is assisting it. So all we do is we assist the body. So if somebody is ill and you take antibiotics, for example, antibiotics is good invention, but it's an abuse of the invention. So what happens is it strips away all the good things as well as bad things. Sometimes you do need antibiotics, yeah, but generally speaking, it causes disharmony in the body. So we don't need to suppress the condition. We need to just help. Think of it this way: if somebody's car stops over there, has anybody pushed start the car? Have you done that? Push start. So what we do is we push it, the car starts, doesn't it? But you can't keep pushing it all the way to Mohapara, can you? Yeah, you just start it, and then it will just. That's exactly what we do in terms of this medicine, natural medicine. We just help, assist. So earlier, Adeel mentioned something about blood pressure. So the blood pressure, what they do is they give you medicine to reduce the pressure of the blood, which means that eventually, because it just reduces the pressure, which affects the kidneys. So the pressure of the kidneys go down, so you have kidney problems. So you take kidney medicines. And for men, they have loss of male performance, so they no longer can function as a man because the blood supply drops there. So that means that they are impotent eventually. Yeah. But then with our medicine, we use one single herb called rufo. A herb called rufo. It's very cold. So we say cool the blood. We just cool the blood. So what we do is we cool the blood. After a few weeks, the man is fine, or the woman is fine. That's it. So they come to us. That's what we pour. We come, we fix them, and after a month they never come back, or 2 months. But the pharmaceutical companies and the doctors are rich because you're continuously going to them, continuously. So they're making money. It's a con. You've been fooled. You've been fooled by the physicians. You've been fooled by the pharmaceutical companies. You've been fooled by the food that you eat. The food that is rubbish food you eat. The meat you eat. The milk that you drink. The water is polluted. Everything is conspired against you, for you to fall ill because it suits them, makes money. It's true.
That's true.
Yeah. And what are we doing with time? Have we got enough time?
6:20.
Yeah.
Okay.
10 minutes, 15
Okay.
minutes.
So we always need to focus on the root cause. It's kind of important. If somebody's got high blood pressure, why have they got high blood pressure? Why? You just go to the doctor and say, "Oh, doctor, fix it," or Hakim Sahib, fix it. The Hakims probably put nothing in that medicine. The formulas are there. They put nothing in there. They won't put saffron in there because saffron is very expensive. It's more expensive than gold. Yeah. He won't talk to you. He will never refuse to talk to you. I spend 1 hour with my clients. sometimes an hour and a half. Especially with women, they take 45 minutes for 1.5 hours. Especially in the, because they've been mentally abused and whatever. But you have, in this culture, it's probably a little bit different because you have a more, talk to your friend and your saheli or your whatever, and you vent all your frustrations. Yeah, my husband did this to me or whatever. But over there, I am that person. I am the saheli, I'm the whatever, and they have to vent to me. So I get ill. Okay. So, but we try to find the root cause. What is the reason why? If this body is perfect, what's happened? They've been eating the wrong food, or they've not been sleeping, or the husband's married another woman, or something's happened, you know. So we have to try to get to the root cause. Because there's no point if you have a tree, you just fix the leaves. You need to look at the trunk. You need to look at the root. You need to fix that, you know. So as I said earlier, it's all in mental emotion conditions. I mentioned to you about looking at, back in the day we only had pulse, body, skin, stool. From there we can observe things from the urine, for example. And there's different types of, hijama is one form of therapy. I know it's becoming very popular in Pakistan, but unfortunately I've seen that people don't know what they're talking about and they're doing hijama. You have to do hijama based on somebody's temperament. So I look at the pulse first, read the pulse, look at the person, do the hijama, read the pulse afterwards, and they see that thing. That's why some people faint, because they don't have any. Some of you shouldn't be doing hijama because there's no blood in you, very limited blood. So so hijama is one treatment. It's also a sunnah as well. It's a prophetic treatment. The Prophet ﷺ himself did this on special days, 17th, 19th, and 21st Islamically. And Prophet ﷺ said it's a cure for all disease except death. So, but the person should have basic idea of anatomy, physiology, for example. I'm talking a little bit about hijama. There's a lot of benefits. For example, it promotes blood flow, dampness, fertility issues, pain, etc. Different types of pain, responsible to those type of things. There's cupping, which is similar to hijama, but they don't take any blood out. And from there, we can look at the skin to work out the type of conditions they have. Maksa, you asked earlier, so that's what maksa looks like. So it's just a little herb we put in there. So if you notice there on the belly, you put there. So that's for like issues like fertility or digestive issues. There's another treatment. It looks scary. Yes, don't worry. Don't be frightened. So it's just a matter of use. It's not painful. I don't do it very often with my clients. I do that just with family members. Because people don't get scared. So basically, it's good for like if you have a cold or a cough or migraine. Especially, I do that on my daughter, for example. She gets migraines. It's the only thing that works on her. Yeah. There's another treatment called fasad, bloodletting. It's like hijama, but we find a specific point that we have to put a pin, and few drops of blood come out. Like diabetic. Have you seen diabetic people? Few drops of blood come out. It's fantastic for things like migraines. Fantastic for depression, low mood. Amazing. I've done that on a few allopathic doctors and physicians. Very effective. I use acupuncture for pain, very effective pain. But sometimes you don't necessarily want to do, people don't want to do hijama, I don't like hijama. Or they're not suitable for hijama because there's not much blood in them. Yeah. So use acupuncture. And we obviously use herbs. Herbs, yeah. Pulse, I use pulse. Tongue, so you can tell a lot from the tongue. So from the center of the tongue, you can tell things about the stomach or the spleen, and the side is things like liver and the lungs. This tells you the state of the organs inside. I've used a new technique, well, new, it's about a couple hundred years old. It's called Iridology, from the word iris, which is a Greek word for eyes. So from the eyes, you can work a lot of things as well. Yeah. So I mentioned the story the other day. Subat Tamur is that I had a client. She came to see me, and she had I read a pulse. I asked some questions, and then she said to me, I said, "You want your picture of your eyes taken?" And she said, "Oh yeah, okay, fine." So I took a picture of the eye. I said, "Oh, is there something with your right ear? Something wrong with this ear?" So people get defensive sometimes, yeah. So, but she was wearing a hijab. Yeah, she was covered herself. So there's something with you. She said, "No, there's nothing with me." I said, "There's something with you." She said, "No." It's okay, fine. And then as she was about to leave, she said, "Oh, I forgot that I don't have a right ear." She didn't have a right ear. So when she was born, she had no right ear. So it was reconstructed there, but she'd forgotten about it. She was about 20s or 30s. So iridology can show you. So for certain areas, you can tell. If somebody has like dark eyes, you need a camera to amplify it. But somebody who had light eyes, you can just look at them from relative distance and work out what's wrong with them. I saw somebody who had breast cancer. So she had blue eyes. From the eyes, you could work it out. Yeah, she's from Russia or something. So what we do is we look at the eyes and we have a chart. On the chart, we compare from the chart the different organs. Yeah, and then we work them, things like that. So that particular course is very popular. I get that more people come to see me with this course than others. For some reason, the people who the Asian mind, the Indian Pakistani people, they love this course, and the Europeans, they want the pulse. We teach them pulse. I don't know why. I tell them about iridology, we're not interested in iridology. They want to tell us about pulse. So every medicine has a strength and weaknesses. It's very good for skin disorders. This medicine is extremely good for skin disorders, for digestive orders, mental emotional orders, and gynecological issues, neurological issues. There are certain issues that it's very strong in. Yeah. So common things I treat. In this country, I can say I can treat. In America, in England, I can't use the word. I can help with digestive problems, asthma, hay fever, eczema, psoriasis, acne, arthritis, those type of conditions. Interesting about weight loss. So remember, I said something about the conditions that we treat that is good at Unani medicine. One thing is not so good at, actually. There are hundreds of formulas to gain weight. There's only 2 formulas to lose weight. It's not a very good system of medicine to lose weight. Yeah, not very successful with that. Yeah, a lot of women come to me, I lose weight, Hakim Shahid. So I said, eat less. I said, that's it. So that's all I have for this short talk. If I hope everybody understood my accent. Apologies if you didn't understand. So any questions for me? I'm at your service.